Why did he disguise himself as Detective Goodman? So, because he wouldn't stand out. If it didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So he did it to fool security cameras. And the detective's ID card, I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor at the prosecutor's office parking lot. ID card I found was left by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprints activated the lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Normally that locker shouldn't have opened. So it opened because a rubber glove was stuck by the door by chance. Then Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. He pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. When did Edward get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry I had to turn out that way, with me knocking him out and everything. What happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. What happened next? Past to escape, I knew which areas you would cover. So you did your research beforehand. Those who got into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I did think it would make a difference, though. I didn't think it would make a difference. Security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat and struggled with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, there wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. The blood found on the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on the tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, what is the evidence? What is the evidence? Still missing, Your Honor. Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Far away, it's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer. This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have a serious consequence. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine, and I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal, but let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL line incident. You know why? I thought he was going to answer that. I had a feeling he'd want to. Everyone involved is related to... Oh, you know what? I forgot to do. I better take another look at the files. I forgot to do that. She ran away. Should I press him or present? I'll present. Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about this SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file here. Name Marshall is mentioned in here. And a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall, are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. Prosecutor. You must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember, Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed, and the case fell into your hands. What's his relation to you? He was my brother. Oof. He was investigating the murder with Damon Gantz, chief detective at the time. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it, and that's the reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened to the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with the resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. A thing that happened by a chance never ceased to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance, it's gotta be more than just that. You're telling me, so if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lawrence. Yeah, wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident of the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got a draw on you, partner. All the mysteries of the police department have been uncovered, no contradiction remain. The murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. There were no errors in the testimony of the witness, Angel Starr. What? In other words, if you have a response mistake, make it one word or less. I rest my case. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving this alleged murder at the police department. No doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder of the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana's guilty. And now that the time of the verdict has arrived, the court finds the defendant. Oh, hey. You're back. Your Honor, wait. Emma. Defense is a scientific objection, right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright, Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Hear me out. Mr. Edwards, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to Joe Dark's killing. And now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky's sisters were in that file. Now that's what I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. And that left only one thing, the other handprints. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? No fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So I ran over there and looked at it again. What the fuck? Did you find something? No? Huh. Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad, I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. Well, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood have only one clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me. Oh boy. Time's up now that Mr. Wright's with regard to the incident in the police department. Does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. Still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Alright, we don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever needed to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? Absolutely. The handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems clear is your grasp in Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at the floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of the blood marks. Oh boy, let's pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Right, Mr. Wright? All this evidence here, there's gotta be something I can use. Question is, which item can prove something is missing on the floor plan? What about the piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. Blue Badger's not here. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right, so long as the Blue Badger is dancing here, it'd be impossible to place a handprint at this spot of the locker. Oof. And the Blue Badger finally comes into play. That means... just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found on the locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically, Emma. How did you get behind me and on the other side of me? On that afternoon. Officer Meekins was the one who brought the Blue Badger to the evidence room, right? After we put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blue mark was left there before the Blue Badger was brought in. Why wouldn't Meekins realize that? One moment I'll not allow such a far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st of the police department evidence room, blood was spilled not once but twice. How? One more time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time, someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered. Oof. That's ridiculous, I refute you. The murder portrayed in the security tape had been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. Look at all these objections. So then, assuming this murder you report really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proved it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claimed that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Wright and Jake Marshall, who was disguised as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. The blood mark found on the locker proves that. Very well. Tell us then, when did the first incident occur? Proof that shows that murder took place. And there's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Will the defense please present this evidence what shows the first place crime when the first crime took place? The Sevens, dude. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, the perpetrator would have to have entered the room. In order to do so, an ID card is required. Oh, ID card record. 420, dude. Officer Meekins brought the Boo Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 450. If the crime took place before that time, it would be 440. Niles Edgeworth, what have you done? I never figured you had nerve, boy. Put off the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. The last person we don't know the ID number to. I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have to have just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean that the crime must have taken place before Miles entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. Only one other card remaining. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Officer Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 sevens. Please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777. That's a 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I am unable to look up that owner of the ID card, at least at present. Explain yourself, son. The ID number belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. You don't have the authority to inquire on such a person's identity. But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. You're all like, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay, let me ask you a question. No, not to you, to her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Don't be stupid, she's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number, and it's not that. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about the incidents. SL9 incidents. Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Oh. Here it is. Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, we occasionally felt the powerlessness of the law. At least I did. Did they fucking kill an innocent man? Lana, I became a prosecutor in order to surpass crime with the law. Before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. What are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. Did they just switch places during that trial 2 years ago? Did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in that crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why don't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. Lana, even if it involved forging evidence. That's huge, dude. Confirmed forged evidence. Finally confirmed. See, that's what I'm talking about. No. That means the rumors about Edgeworth are real, but Edgeworth didn't know about them. Lana's remarks caused such a stir the chaos in the courtroom cannot be quelled. Conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. And you're telling me, gee, that's really huge. They forged evidence.